I never thought I would be that guy. The one working 60 hours a week at a warehouse while my wife spent money faster than I could earn it. But there I was. Brooks Wilson, 32 years old, walking through our apartment door with gas station hot dogs and a pounding headache after using the last of my emergency fund to cover our rent. Amanda took one look at the food, wrinkled her nose, and said, "Wow, you really know how to make poverty taste worse." Then she threw the entire bag in the trash and sneered. "Try again tomorrow, idiot." That was the moment I realized I was not a husband to her, just a wallet with a pulse. Before I tell you how I finally stood up for myself after years of financial and emotional abuse, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you have ever felt unappreciated by someone who claimed to love you. I met Amanda Jones 4 years ago at my college friend's summer barbecue. She stood out immediately in the crowd, her confident laugh and stylish appearance drawing attention from everyone around. I was not usually the type to approach beautiful women at parties, but something about her energy pulled me in. When we started talking, she seemed genuinely interested in my life, asking thoughtful questions about my job as a warehouse supervisor and my plans for the future. By the end of the night, we had exchanged numbers, and I felt an excitement I had not experienced in years. Our first few dates were magical. Amanda was charming, attentive, and seemed impressed by my work ethic and stability. She shared stories about her marketing career and the clients she worked with. I admired her apparent independence and ambition. We both enjoyed trying new restaurants, hiking on weekends, and planning weekend getaways to nearby cities. Looking back, I should have noticed that I always paid for everything, but at the time it felt natural to treat someone I was falling for. After only 6 months of dating, I proposed. My parents expressed concern about the whirlwind romance, suggesting we live together first, but I was confident. Amanda had shown me a version of herself that seemed perfect, and I was eager to build a life with her. We had a modest wedding, though. Even then, I took out a small loan to meet her expectations for the venue and photographer. The first warning sign appeared just 2 weeks after returning from our honeymoon. Amanda announced she had quit her marketing job due to toxic workplace issues and needed time to find something better. I supported her decision, assuming it would be temporary. I increased my hours at the warehouse, taking every overtime opportunity to compensate for her lost income. 1 month turned into 3, and job interviews mysteriously never materialized into offers. Meanwhile, Amanda's spending habits continued as if nothing had changed. New clothes appeared in our closet weekly. Expensive salon appointments remained on her schedule. When I gently asked about her job search, she would tear up and claim I did not believe in her, effectively shutting down any financial discussion. By our first anniversary, I was working 6 days a week, while Amanda had settled into what she called taking time to find her passion. She volunteered occasionally at an animal shelter, but brought home more designer purses than paychecks. I suggested a budget, creating a spreadsheet of our expenses and income. Amanda agreed to it enthusiastically, but ignored it completely. She also insisted on managing our bill payments since I was too busy working. This arrangement led to our first major crisis, when our electricity was shut off without warning. Amanda claimed the utility company had made a mistake, but when I called, they confirmed no payment had been received for 3 months. I discovered similar situations with several bills, all supposedly lost in the mail or website glitches. I dipped into my emergency fund for the first time to get everything current. That became the pattern for the next 2 years. Amanda would be responsible for a bill, forget to pay it, and I would cover the late fees and reconnection costs from my dwindling savings. Each time she had a different excuse and tearful promise to do better. Each time I believed her. My parents noticed the change in me. During a Sunday dinner at their house, my mother pulled me aside. "Brooks, you look exhausted. Is everything okay with you and Amanda?" I brushed off her concern, making excuses about work stress. The truth was too embarrassing to admit. I was sleeping only 5 hours a night, picking up extra shifts, and still barely keeping us afloat. My friend Miguel tried intervention next. "Man, when was the last time you came out with us? Amanda always has the newest iPhone while you are still using that cracked screen from 3 years ago. Does that seem right to you?" I defended her reflexively, but his words lingered in my mind. Meanwhile, our apartment filled with evidence of Amanda's shopping habits. Clothes with tags still attached hung in the closet. Expensive makeup cluttered the bathroom counter. A second television for the bedroom appeared when I mentioned needing new work boots. The one thing consistently missing was her contribution to our finances. I tried everything to make our situation work. I created simpler budgets. I suggested she look for remote work or part-time retail to help with expenses. I even offered to help her build a resume. Each conversation ended the same way. Amanda would cry, accuse me of calling her worthless, then promise to change, followed by a day or two of affection, before returning to her normal behavior. By our third anniversary, my emergency fund, once containing $15,000, had dwindled to just under $2,000. My credit score dropped from regular late payments. I developed stress-induced acid reflux and frequent headaches. Still, I persisted, believing that marriage meant sticking together through difficult times. Then came the incident that would finally open my eyes. We had been struggling to make rent for months, with Amanda always cutting it dangerously close to the deadline. This month, she had assured me multiple times that she had paid it online. I trusted her until our landlord called saying we were 3 days late and facing eviction proceedings. That Wednesday started like any other. I woke at 4:30 a.m., kissed a still-sleeping Amanda goodbye, and headed to the warehouse for my shift. By lunch, I had already received a voice message from our landlord about the missed rent payment. I called him during my break, stomach clenching, as he explained that not only was this month late, but we had been consistently tardy with payments for 6 months. One more late payment, and I will have to ask you to find another place, he said firmly. I have been lenient because you have always caught up eventually, but my patience has limits. I checked our joint account on my phone, expecting to see the rent payment pending. Instead, I discovered multiple transactions at clothing stores and restaurants from the past week, totaling nearly $1,000. Our rent money was gone, along with most of my last paycheck. The remainder of my shift passed in a fog of anxiety. My supervisor noticed my distraction and assigned me to inventory counting rather than forklift operation, concerned about safety. As if the day could not get worse, he also announced mandatory overtime for the weekend, cutting into the side gig I had lined up, mowing lawns for extra cash. By the time I clocked out at 6 p.m., I had developed a throbbing headache that radiated from my temples to the base of my skull. I drove straight to the bank and withdrew $1,200 from my emergency fund, leaving it nearly empty. The teller gave me a sympathetic look as I exchanged pleasantries, probably noticing the dark circles under my eyes and my rumpled uniform. The drive to the rental office took 30 minutes in rush hour traffic, my headache intensifying with each honking horn. I arrived just before closing time, apologizing profusely as I handed over the cash. The property manager accepted it with a stern warning about future timeliness. "Next time will be an eviction notice, not a courtesy call," she said, sliding the receipt across the counter. "I suggest setting up automatic payments if your wife cannot remember deadlines." Exhausted and now hungry, I stopped at a gas station for dinner. My budget allowed for nothing better, and I lacked the energy to cook. I purchased 2 hot dogs, a bag of chips, and 2 bottles of water, hoping the simple gesture of bringing food home might spark appreciation from Amanda. I called her on the way, trying to keep accusation from my voice. "Hey, I just paid the rent. Landlord said it was never submitted this month." "Oh, the website must have glitched again," she replied casually. I definitely clicked the payment button. Their system is so unreliable. I took a deep breath, pushing down my frustration. "We almost got evicted, Amanda. That is kind of serious." "Well, you fixed it right. Problem solved." "Oh, Tiffany just texted me about meeting for drinks later. Can you leave me some cash when you get home?" I nearly swerved off the road in disbelief. "We just spent our last emergency money on rent that was supposed to be paid days ago, and you want cash for drinks." "God, Brooks, why are you being so dramatic? It is just a girls' night. You are acting like we are homeless or something." I ended the call without responding, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. When I finally arrived home around 8 p.m., the headache had become a full-blown migraine. I found Amanda lounging on our couch, scrolling through her phone. Shopping bags from stores I recognized from our bank statement sat on the floor beside her. "We need to talk about what happened with the rent," I said, setting the gas station bag on the coffee table. She barely looked up. "I already told you the website glitched. Not my fault, their system sucks." "Amanda, we had the money last week. Where did it go?" She sighed dramatically. "Why do you always assume I did something wrong?" "Maybe the payment is just processing slowly. I saw the bank statement. You spent hundreds at Nordstrom and had lunch at Bellini's yesterday." Are you monitoring my spending now? That is controlling behavior, Brooks. My head pounded as I tried to remain calm. It is not controlling to wonder why our rent money vanished and we almost got evicted. She finally looked at me then at the gas station bag. What is that supposed to be, dinner? I did not have time to cook after paying the rent and working overtime. Amanda opened the bag, examining the contents with visible disgust. Wow, you really know how to make poverty taste worse. Without warning, she grabbed the entire bag and tossed it into the kitchen trash can. Try again tomorrow, idiot. I am not eating this garbage. I stood frozen watching as 12 hours of exhausting work, the last of my emergency fund and my pathetic attempt at providing dinner, were all dismissed in seconds. Something shifted inside me, a clarity cutting through years of manipulation and denial. In that moment, I saw us for what we truly were: not partners, not even friends. I was simply a resource to be drained, a wallet with a pulse, whose only value was in what I could provide. The realization was both devastating and oddly freeing. Without another word, I grabbed my car keys and walked out. Amanda called after me. Where are you going? I want Thai food. If you are making another food run, I did not answer. I drove to a nearby park and parked in the empty lot, finally allowing the emotions to surface. Years of suppressed frustration, resentment, and sadness poured out as I sat alone in the darkness. When the initial wave subsided, I pulled out my phone and began researching terms that had been floating in my subconscious: financial abuse, gaslighting, and toxic relationships. The descriptions matched my marriage with stunning accuracy. As I read personal accounts from others who had experienced similar situations, I felt less alone and increasingly certain about what I needed to do. I reclined my seat and prepared to spend the night in my car, unwilling to return to an environment where I was valued only for my paycheck. I woke up at dawn with a stiff neck and surprising clarity. For the first time in 3 years, I called in sick to work, earning concerned questions from my supervisor, who knew my perfect attendance record. Everything is fine, I assured him. I just need a personal day to handle some things. Once the morning rush hour subsided, I drove to my bank and requested to speak with a personal banker. Judith, a middle-aged woman, with kind eyes, listened patiently as I explained my situation in careful, unemotional terms. I need to separate my finances from my wife immediately, I concluded. I am concerned about further unauthorized spending. Judith nodded sympathetically. Unfortunately, you cannot remove her from joint accounts without her signature. However, we can open a new individual account and help you redirect your direct deposits. By 11 a.m., I had a new checking account, updated my payroll information via my company's online portal, and ordered a new debit card to be delivered to my parents' address. I withdrew the remaining $700 from our joint account, knowing it would likely be the last money I would see from it. My next stop was a credit union across town, where I had once banked years ago. I spoke with a financial advisor named Marcus who specialized in divorce planning, though I clarified I had not yet filed. What you are describing is unfortunately common, Marcus said. Let us look at your complete financial picture and create a separation strategy. We spent 2 hours reviewing my credit report, discovering 3 credit cards I had never applied for in my name as an authorized user. My stomach dropped seeing the balances, nearly $20,000 in debt I had been unaware of. Marcus helped me dispute the accounts and place a freeze on my credit to prevent further damage. With financial triage underway, I drove to our apartment during a time I knew Amanda would be at her weekly spa appointment. I felt like an intruder in my own home as I gathered essential documents: birth certificate, social security card, car title, insurance policies, and tax returns. I photographed our apartment and belongings as Marcus had suggested, creating an inventory of what was mine before the marriage. As I worked, I calculated roughly how much money Amanda had cost me. Over 3 years, approximately $47,000 in depleted savings loans to cover emergencies and credit card debt. The number was staggering for someone on a warehouse supervisor's salary. By mid-afternoon, I was parked outside my parents' suburban home, rehearsing what to say. They welcomed me with confused expressions that shifted to concern as I explained the situation. My father, a retired postal worker who had been married to my mother for 35 years, placed a supportive hand on my shoulder. Son, this house has always been your home too. Stay as long as you need. My mother wiped away tears. We never wanted to interfere, but we worried. That girl changed you, Brooks. You stopped smiling. Their immediate acceptance loosened something tight in my chest. I helped my father clear out their spare bedroom while my mother prepared dinner, the first home-cooked meal I had enjoyed in months. As we ate, I shared more details about my marriage, feeling the shame lift with each revelation. You have nothing to be embarrassed about, my father insisted. Financial abuse is real, and it happens to smart, good people. That evening I returned to the apartment once more, confirming Amanda had left for her Thursday girls' night that typically ran late. I efficiently packed clothing, personal items, and a few sentimental possessions that predated our marriage. In our home office, I discovered a drawer full of unopened bills and collection notices addressed to me some dating back months. Most disturbing was a credit card statement for an account in my name, with a $16,000 balance and multiple cash advances. The latest transaction was from 2 days earlier, a cash withdrawal of $500. This explained her lack of concern about the rent and immediate request for drinks money when I called. I left a simple letter on the kitchen counter. Amanda, I have moved out and am filing for separation. I have documented the financial situation and consulted with legal advisors. Please direct any communication to me through email only, not phone calls or texts. I have canceled all joint credit cards and removed my direct deposit from our shared account. You will need to make arrangements for rent and utilities going forward. Brooks. Before leaving, I changed the passwords. On all my email and social media accounts, removed my personal documents from our filing cabinet and set up mail forwarding to a post office box. The wedding ring I removed and placed beside my letter, a final symbolic break. I spent that first night at my parents' house alternating between relief and grief. Around midnight, the text messages began flooding in as Amanda presumably returned home to find me gone. Where are you? You cannot just leave like this. All this over some stupid rent money. You are overreacting. I need the car tomorrow. Bring it back now. Fine. I am sorry about dinner. Is that what you want to hear? I read each message but did not respond. When she began calling repeatedly, I turned off my phone. For the first time in years, I slept without anxiety about what financial disaster awaited me in the morning. 1 week into my new life, I had established a routine at my parents' house. I contributed to groceries and utilities, helped with household maintenance, and commuted an extra 30 minutes each way to work. The peace of living without constant financial strain made the adjustment worthwhile. Amanda's attempts to contact me evolved from angry demands to tearful pleas. She appeared at the warehouse on day 3, causing a scene in the parking lot until security escorted her out. My supervisor, now aware of my situation, arranged for me to use a different entrance temporarily. I blocked Amanda on social media but received messages from mutual friends expressing either support or confusion about throwing away my marriage so suddenly. I met with divorce attorney Catherine Wells during my lunch break on day 5. She reviewed the financial documentation I had gathered and nodded grimly. This is a clear case of financial abuse, Mr. Wilson. Unfortunately, in this state, marital debt is typically considered shared responsibility regardless of who incurred it. Even the credit cards I never knew about, I asked. We can contest those based on fraud, especially with evidence she forged applications. It will be a process, but not impossible. The legal fees would stretch my budget thin, but I considered it an investment in my future. Catherine filed initial separation papers and sent formal communication to Amanda, which temporarily reduced the harassment. 3 weeks after leaving, I was restocking my parents' refrigerator when my phone displayed Amanda's number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Brooks, she sobbed, please come home. I am so sorry. I know I messed up with money and took you for granted. Her voice, once able to melt my resolve instantly, now triggered only caution. Amanda, please communicate through my attorney as requested. I do not want to talk to lawyers, I want my husband back. The apartment is a mess. Bills are piling up and I had to borrow money from my sister for groceries. I am sorry you are struggling, I said carefully. But this separation is necessary. I will change. I promise I will get a job tomorrow. I will go to therapy. Whatever you want. The desperation in her voice was new. I never realized how much I depended on you. That is the problem, I replied softly. You saw me as something to depend on, not someone to love. That is not true. I love you. Please just come over so we can talk. I made your favorite lasagna. The old Brooks would have caved, driving over immediately at the promise of reconciliation. The new Brooks recognized the manipulation tactic. "Goodbye, Amanda. My lawyer will contact you about divorce proceedings next week." Her tone shifted instantly. "Divorce. After everything I have done for you, you would be nothing without me. No one will ever love you like I did." I ended the call, her true colors revealed once again. That night, I attended my first financial recovery support group meeting at the community center, finding solidarity among others rebuilding after financial abuse. 6 months later, my life had transformed remarkably. I maintained my no-contact boundary with Amanda, except through legal channels. The divorce proceedings progressed slowly but steadily, with the court assigning most of the fraudulent credit card debt to her based on the evidence we presented. I agreed to a reasonable division of legitimate marital debt to expedite the process. At work, my performance improved, without the constant stress at home. My supervisor recognized the change, promoting me to logistics manager with a 20% salary increase. I opened a new emergency fund account, automatically transferring 10% of each paycheck, watching with satisfaction as it steadily grew. After 4 months with my parents, I found an affordable one-bedroom apartment closer to work. The space was smaller than the one I had shared with Amanda, but it was mine alone, decorated simply with only things that brought me joy. I rediscovered hobbies abandoned during my marriage, playing guitar, hiking, and cooking proper meals for myself. When the divorce finalized after 8 months, I felt only relief. The financial damage would take years to fully repair, but my credit score had already improved 50 points. Amanda received less in the settlement than she expected. Her financial deception documented extensively in court records. Through mutual friends, I heard she had moved in with her sister and finally found retail work. Occasionally, she still attempted contact through new phone numbers or email addresses, alternating between apologies and accusations. But these became easier to ignore. 1 year after that pivotal night with the gas station dinner, I hosted a small gathering at my new apartment to celebrate paying off the last of the debt assigned to me in the divorce. As my parents, Miguel, and new friends from my support group raised glasses to toast this milestone, I realized how much healthier I looked in the reflection of my window compared to the exhausted man I had been. The financial lessons had been expensive but invaluable. Maintaining separate accounts, even in marriage, regularly, monitoring credit reports, discussing money openly with partners, and recognizing that love should never feel like a transaction. Most importantly, I had learned to value myself beyond what I could provide materially for others. A relationship should be a partnership, not a parasitic arrangement, where one person gives everything while the other takes without reciprocating. Today I approach dating cautiously but optimistically, clear about financial compatibility being as important as emotional connection. I am transparent about my past and listen carefully to how potential partners discuss money and responsibility. My emergency fund now contains 6 months of living expenses. My apartment, while modest, is filled with peace instead of tension. My relationships, both romantic and platonic, are based on mutual respect rather than what I can provide. Sometimes I think back to that man standing in the kitchen watching his gas station dinner being thrown in the trash, and I wish I could tell him that walking away would be the best decision he ever made. Pain can be a powerful teacher when we finally listen to what it has been trying to tell us all along. Have you ever had to break free from someone who valued you only for what you could provide? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the subscribe button and give it a like so others in similar situations can find it. Consider sharing this video with someone who might need the courage to recognize financial abuse in their own relationship. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, you deserve to be loved for who you are, not just what you can give.